Hello friends, welcome to Hybrid Academy and to the first session of Learn Photography. In this complete course, we will learn how to capture pictures perfectly, and in the first session we will learn what is photography. Here's a small brief on Hybrid Academy imparting professional education. We have a thought to change billions of lives by providing professional education accessibly and affordably, to reskill and upskill the professional level of knowledge, to make continuous learning a part of life, and to make personalized education accessible. We focus on interactive education because it is engaging and better for learning. So please like, share and subscribe our channel so that every time you are notified whenever some new content is posted. We are eagerly looking forward to your support. Thanks. So if we see in detail, in this first session we will learn photography styles, what is exposure, and camera types. After this, in the end, we will summarize everything we have learned and will know what we will learn in the next session. In case if you have any queries or questions, please feel free to ask the same in the comment box. Now let's quickly start with our first session. What is photography? To answer this, the word photography was created from the Greek word photos, which means light, and graphe, which means drawing. Combining both these words make the meaning drawing or painting with light. So we can call photography a process to make a drawing or painting with light. Interesting, right? We want to learn photography, develop and enhance our creative skills. So this session will help us to expand our technical knowledge, build confidence in our photography abilities, and also to develop our vocabulary related to photography. Let's start with the styles of photography. Here is a list of most popular styles of photography. We will discuss this in more detail for each of these ahead. So the first is landscape photography. Landscape photography shows spaces within and around the world, usually vast and unending. Landscape photographs typically capture the presence of nature, but can also focus on man-made features or disturbances of landscapes. The next is architectural photography. Architecture photography, usually referred as building photography or structure photography, generally means photography that focuses on buildings and similar architectural structures that are both aesthetically pleasing and accurate in terms of representation of their subjects. It can include shooting building exteriors and interiors, as well as bridges, other structures and cityscapes, etc. Next is the night or long exposure photography. The definition of long exposure night photography is the process of taking photos at night time using a slow shutter speed. Please note that the shutter speed is the cornerstone of long exposure photography. Here, to overcome low light during night hours, we utilize the feature of long exposure, leading to light trails, etc. for an amazing effect. Next is portrait photography. Portrait photography or portraiture is a type of photography aimed toward capturing the personality of a person or group of people by using effective lighting, backdrops and poses. A portrait photograph may be artistic or clinical. Next we have is candid photography. A candid photograph is a picture captured without creating a posed appearance. A candid nature of photograph is unrelated to the subject's knowledge about or consent to the fact that photographs are being taken, and are unrelated to the subject's permission for further usage and distribution. Next is the fashion photography. Fashion photography is a category of photography which is devoted to display clothing and other fashion items. Fashion photography is most often conducted for advertisements or fashion magazines. Conceptual or fine art photography. This category of photography is created to be in line with the vision of photographer as an artist, using photography as a medium for creative expression. The goal of fine art photography is to express an idea, a message, or an emotion. Such conceptual pictures are mostly artistic, but can also be modified as per the vision of the artist. Next is the documentary photography. Documentary photography is a style of photography that provides a straightforward and accurate representation of people, places, objects, and events. and is often used in reportage. This popular form of photography is used for chronicle events or environments, both significant and relevant to history and historical events as well as everyday life. Next is the photojournalism or war photography. Photojournalism is a journalism that uses images to tell a news story. It usually only refers to still images depicting stories over an event. One category of this format is war photography, which involves photographing armed conflicts and its effects on people and places. Photographers who participate in this genre may find themselves placed in harm's way and are sometimes even killed trying to get their pictures out of the war arena. Next is the sports or action photography. Sports or action photography involves capturing the subjects in motion, and you can apply the techniques involved to any number of subjects. Whatever you plan to shoot, the key to action photography is careful planning and thorough understanding of your subject. Next is the wildlife photography. Wildlife photography is a genre of photography concerned with documenting various forms of wildlife in their natural habitat. Wildlife photographers may need field craft skills as well as requiring photograph skills. Wildlife photography has the power to turn people onto the wonder of nature. Long and very long zoom lenses are used in this category, and remember, the longer the lens, the more susceptible you are to the camera movement. With really long lenses, even the slightest motion can cause blur. Last but not the least is the close-up or macro photography. Macro photography is extreme close-up photography, usually of very small subjects and living organisms like insects, in which the size of the subject in the photograph is greater than the life size. Special macro lenses are used for this category of photography. Now, when we know about so many different styles and categories of photography, what style would you like to master? Now, moving further, let's understand some basics of vision and light. So first, let's understand the fact how we see. Anything is visible through our eyes only when the light falls on an object or subject and reflects to our eyes. Our eyes can only see the subject in the presence of light. Going further, to understand exposure of subject in our camera, we need to understand the exposure in the human vision. To understand this much better, let's see how our human eye works. When light hits the retina, a light-sensitive layer of tissue at the back of the eye, special cells called photoreceptors turn the light into electrical signals. These electrical signals travel from the retina through the optic nerve to the brain. Then, the brain turns the signal into the images you see. The pupil is an opening that lets light into your eye. Your pupil changes size to control how much light enters your eye. Since most of the light entering your eye does not escape, your pupil appears to be black. In dim or low light, the pupil expands to allow more light to enter your eye, whereas in bright light, it contracts to reduce the amount of light entering. The size of pupil can range in diameter from 1.5 mm to 8 mm. Now we know how our eye works, and based on that, let us understand what a camera is and how it works. Camera obscura. This is an optical device which is the ancestor of modern cameras. From the 17th century onwards, some artists used it as an aid to plotting compositions. A camera obscura, which is the Latin for dark room, is an optical device that led to the photography or photographic camera. Here in the left image, a 19th century artist using a camera obscura to outline his subject. The right is the actual 3D view of camera obscura, where light is entering the dark box and getting projected on top via angular mirror. Now let's see the first ever recorded image. The image visible on the left hand side of the screen is the first ever recorded image. This was taken by Joseph in Ligras of France from his window on a 20 by 25 centimeter oil treated bitumen with almost 8 hours of exposure. This photograph shows parts of buildings and surrounding countryside of his estate. The image on the right hand side is the morphed image created by the historians after studying the blueprint, conceptualizing what Joseph would have actually seen on that day. Now let's see and understand the modern camera. We will come back to this slide to understand the functionality of such camera. As of now, let's see how the technology has changed and how we were able to capture clear pictures as compared to the picture we saw above. This is a revised version of camera which used photographic light sensitive film known as negative in layman's language. This film was used till late 90s as a prime mode for capturing photos. It had light sensitive photo cells which used to capture the negative, reverse in color of the actual scene, and later light was projected from this negative paper to develop the photograph on a light sensitive paper. Nowadays, the concept of photofilm based photography is over, and every one of us has mobile phones with camera to capture real life moments in digital format. All these digital cameras like DSLR, mobile phone or digital camera etc. have light sensitive sensor instead of film, which captures the pictures and saves them in the device memory. These sensors vary in terms of their sensitivity, size etc. and accordingly produce different quality of pictures. Now as we know the types of modern cameras, let's now understand some basics of photography, and to start with, let's first understand exposure and how it works. The standard definition of exposure is the amount of light per unit area reaching the photographic film or electronic image sensor for a specified interval of time. So with this, we understand that it's like the measurement of light we use to draw the photograph. Like a recipe has different ingredients for its preparation, light is the most important ingredient of any photograph. Putting more amount of light will spoil the photograph with a lot of white shade in that, known as burning in terms of photography, and putting less amount of light will make it dark and black. Correct amount of light, that is exposure, will actually create a perfect picture. Moving further, let's see what all are different types of cameras. So here's a list of different types of cameras. We will discuss all these in more detail in coming slides. The first type of camera we have is point and shoot camera. Point and shoot cameras are small, easy to handle. These are very compact and are very ideal for regular photography. The only drawback of this type of cameras is that it has very limited control and most of the functions are automatic. Here comes the hero. This is the most popular one, DSLR, Digital Single Lens Reflex Camera. This camera has the option to change the lens as per your requirement. It gives you full manual functions to control each and every aspect or ingredient of your photograph recipe. It delivers a very high quality image and a lot of additional accessories can be attached with this camera. This camera requires a bit of technical knowledge for optimal use, and we will learn all this technical knowledge in our course of Learn Photography. Coming back to the slide as promised earlier, let's understand the functionality of the DSLR camera. Starting from the front of the camera, that is on the left hand side, we have the camera lens, which is actually a series of glass lenses to form focus on the objects placed at different distances. Light, which is shown in solid red line, travels from the front of the lens onto the mirror, which reflects it to the viewfinder via pentamirror, which straightens the inverted image. From the viewfinder, we adjust our photograph as per requirement. Once the photograph is perfectly adjusted, we click the button and the mirror is flipped in a way that the light now directly falls on the image sensor recording the image. The next is the bridge cameras. These are somehow similar in looks to the DSLR but functions like point and shoot cameras. Some of these allow full manual control, but the good point of these cameras is that they provide very powerful zoom. However, the lenses for these cameras cannot be changed like DSLR. Nowadays, advanced mirrorless DSLR cameras are available. These provide all the functions like DSLR, however provide a much clear and crisp image as saves the photograph from getting shake due to mirror flipping vibration. We will discuss this in detail in the next slide. So in the mirrorless camera, as the name suggests, we do not have the main mirror to reflect the image to viewfinder. Here the sensor is smart enough to decide between projecting the image to viewfinder or to record the image. So initially the light directly falls on the sensor via lens. The sensor initially projects the image to the viewfinder digitally, and once we click the shoot button, sensor automatically records the image which was getting projected. This makes the task easy for the photographer as there is no shake due to mirror flipping, and since the image is projected from the sensor, the quality can be better analyzed from the viewfinder. Next is the medium format cameras. These cameras are almost obsolete now as they were very costly, and DSLR cameras these days provides almost all the features of these cameras. The only plus point of these cameras was that they had a very large sensor. However, DSLR cameras also have similar sensors nowadays. Last but not the least is the smartphone camera, which is most convenient to use as it has a lot of photography and editing applications available. Smartphones provide additional benefits that the picture can be instantly shared over with others and can be viewed as well on the screen. The biggest drawback of these cameras is that they have a very small sensor, resulting in low quality image as compared to DSLR. So with this, we know a lot about the types of cameras, and we know that any camera can take a great photo if we only know how to use it. Today in lesson 1, we have learned different styles of photography, how the light exposure works, and about different types of cameras. So with this, we have laid the foundation. Going forward, we will learn a lot about photography. Going forward in the next session, we will know all about camera functions, lens types, and will also understand the difference in vision of camera and human eye. Thank you for joining the complete session. Please share and subscribe our channel so that your friends also get benefited with the information, acquire free knowledge and learn new things. We are eagerly looking forward to your support. Thanks, take care and stay safe. Hope to see you in the next session.